All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 480 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern Atlanta Falcons football. And today, I want to give a shout out to Coach Thurman. I want to give him a shout out. He made our trip to Paulson and our experience at Paulson as simple and fun and enjoyable as possible. He has been one of the bigger supporters of the show. I really appreciate it. And I can't thank him enough. I really can't. He's been ever since I ran into him on Twitter. He's been very supportive, and one of the few guys I can really, that I know within, Georgia Southern, coaching staff that really watches and just supports the show. I really appreciate it. So shout out to Coach Thurman. I can't thank him enough because he made like I said, he made our experience very, very fun. I'm going to talk about our experience at Paulson, and we're going to jump into the game of the year, in my opinion. Biggest game for us outside of the Nebraska game, probably bigger than the Nebraska game, playing against Appalachian State for bowl eligibility. We'll talk about all that. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. You can check all that out if you want to listen to the show at your leisure. Also, all the links down in the description if you want to support. Also, this podcast is brought to you by BetUS. The link down in the description if you want to put some wagers on some games. Put in $100. With that link, you will double your money and then some. Get 125% sportsbook bonus. So you're winning out the gate. Use your sports book to bet on anything from the NFL to NCAA, NBA, MMA, esports. I think you can even bet on the World Cup that is coming up. All of those things right there is down in the description in that link as well. Click that link, get double your money, and get ready to go in and put some wagers on some of these games. Make some easy money on some of these lines. That's all I got to say about that. Let's go ahead and get into the show. Being at Paulson is one of the most special things in college football, I believe. And this is actually my son's second time being there. This will be my wife's third time being there. And I've been to Paulson. I can't even count on both hands how many times I've been there watching Georgia Southern, dating all the way back to the early 2000s. And we went to the game. We went to go see them play Marshall. And I don't really want to get into the game too much. I talked about that on an earlier video on my YouTube channel. If you want to check that out, I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube and Rumble. You can go check that out. The team just fell short, and it's pretty frustrating. I can't lie. It's not the outcome that we wanted. We have a very talented team, even with the injuries. We just wasn't able to get a few stops and was not able to execute. Now going on to the next game, we're playing Appalachian State, which is another team that has fallen short throughout the season. These two teams usually be on the top, one of the top two, at least top two or three teams in the Sun Belt East. Right now, both teams have fell on hard times. And even though we're not up there at the top going for a Sun Belt title, this game still means a lot because either team who wins this game gains bowl eligibility. Appalachian State already has 6 wins, but the fact that one of those wins, I think they had 2 wins against FCS opponents. One of those wins don't count, so they have to play Georgia Southern and beat Georgia Southern to get that bowl eligibility. We already have 5 games. We're at 5-6 right now. It sucks. I know we're under 500, but if we beat Appalachian State, we will gain bowl eligibility. And to be honest, this will be a really good way to end the season. I will say that because Appalachian State is our foe. I mean, we've been, going back and forth with them since the 80s. And it's always been back and forth. And this just adds more fuel to the rivalry. And with Appalachian State coming to Paulson and both teams are vying for some type of relevance in the postseason of the college football season, it just makes it another reason to fight and play against this team and make it mean something yet again. Now, I'm not going to get into all the X's and O's. I'm not going to get into all the other stuff until later on in the week. But we have to beat Appalachian State. We'll double our win total from last year. We'll gain bowl eligibility, and we beat our known and most be honest, our most I don't even know how to say it really, our most known and fierce rival. You know, I mean, we don't like Appalachian State. We have respect for them, but we don't like Appalachian State. And to knock that team out of bowl eligibility, and we gain bowl eligibility by beating them, will make the rivalry once again much more sweeter. There's been times where Appalachian State was ranked. We knocked them out of them being ranked. There's times where they were supposed to be going to, to win the Sun Belt title or going for us. We knocked them out of that. I think we did. Don't quote me on that. And vice versa. There's been times when they knocked us down after we were looking really good in polls, even going back to the FCS days. So it's always a good time playing this team, and I want to see us, knock them out one more time. And it just helps for the program. I know there's been a lot of disappointment here with Georgia Southern and what they've done and what they haven't done. For me, personally, I felt like this team should have won 8 games. And looking back on it, I understand the defense the way they were, what to play the way they did. But when you look at the injuries to Amari Jones and you look at what happened to Derwin Burgess, those are big deals. And that really pretty much could have been the difference of us winning 2 or 3 more games that we had won already. That we had already. And it's kind of disappointing because you want that to happen. I felt like this team was an 8-4 team, and I still stand by that. It's okay that I got it wrong, but I felt like I more got it wrong because of the injuries, not because of lack of play. Because I think if all wide receivers were still healthy, even going back to Sam Kenderson, if they were all healthy, or they had a little bumps and bruises here, but they were still eligible to play for the entire up until now, except for the entire season. But up until now, I think we would have achieved 8 wins by now. I think we would have been already at the 8-win mark, and we could have been looking at a situation where we could just look at 9 wins against App State, or it could have been 7, either or. But I feel like it was somewhat of a letdown because I felt I had high expectations for the team, and a lot of fans have high expectations. And I understand why. And I understand why a lot of fans are upset. Don't get me wrong. I understand it. But at the end of the day, I try to be very fair. I try to be very fair at what goes on with this team. I understand the shortcomings. I try my best not to get upset at none of these players. These guys are kids. These guys are kids, and they're learning as they go. Especially with this new offense, especially with this new defense, new coaching staff. Every single kid on this team was basically learning on the fly. And for them to double, close to be doubling their total wins from last year, is actually amazing. And the recruiting that we coming in, every kid, that's a new face. Every kid that's a new face on this team basically looks like a stud. From Pashawn Wimbley to Marcus Sanders to Jet, Joshua Thompson, to Davis, they all look really good. OJ Arnold, they look real. I think the future of this team is going to be very, very bright, which we'll talk about that down the road, because I really want to talk about not only the true freshmen that's going to be possibly returning next year, but the quarterback situation. I think this quarterback situation is a lot better than people think. They're looking at Kyle Van Treese and thinking, oh, he's gone, what's going to happen? I think a lot of these guys were sitting back and training and learning from what they see. And I think you're going to have at least 1 to 2, maybe even 3 quarterbacks ready to go out the gate next year. But we'll talk about that down the road, especially later on this week and most likely into next week. I'm just looking at what we have here, and yes, I feel like we underachieved a little bit. But in the scheme of things, we did overachieve. We masked our win total by 2. We overcame that by 2. We also have a situation to double our win total and go to a bowl game. After the 3-9 season last year, this is actually And this is actually a W for us. Now, me personally, I said we should have won 8 games. I don't look too hot about that because I fell short of my own expectations, but I was reaching a little bit. I feel like I was reaching a little bit, but I knew what this team had the potential for. And like I said, once again, if the injuries wasn't there, we could have possibly would have got that. Because this team was very good. This team was very good this year overall. Now, I know the defense wasn't the best, but overall, when you look at both teams, on both sides, all 3 aspects, if you want to account special teams too, this team was actually pretty good throughout this entire season. I think the main thing that really knocked us out was the injuries because the defense was what they were. If you saw what happened, even a little bit in the Morgan State game, when those guys and Morgan State have 2 decent running backs, and they was able to run the ball very well, we knew what the issue was. And when you saw the Nebraska game, that made it even worse. And UAB, the ceiling just fell apart. The floodgates open. We knew what our problem was on defense, but even despite that, I thought our offense was going to be able to offset that. And I think that the offense did to an extent until we started making, slight mistakes and a lot of guys got injured. Now, does the injuries necessarily tell the whole story? No. There are some execution issues as well, which I feel that they can be cleaned up next season, but I would like for them to be cleaned up this upcoming game against Appalachian State. I know Appalachian State has a bell cow for a running back in Cameron Peoples, but at the same time, we got to offset that by defeating this team's porous and sloppy and not so good secondary. Their secondary is not that good. We should be able to throw the ball on them. Hopefully we'll be able to. We're going to look into personnel down the road later on this week. But I feel that we should be able to do some things in the passing game. Maybe even in the running game too. Because if Jalen White is healthy, maybe he'll be able to go. But I still like Joe Green. I also like O.J. Arnold. I wouldn't be surprised if Dixon gets some play as well. The running back Dixon. Is it Dixon or Jordan? Oh, goodness. I think it's Jordan. But either way, I can't remember the name just that quick. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some burn as well, because I don't know the status of Jalen White. We just don't know the status. So hopefully we'll see how that goes. And once we find out about that, then we will make an assessment of who's going to be carrying the rock. Because Georgia doesn't like to run somewhat of a 3-headed monster with with O.J. Arnold and doing this thing every now and then. But it basically runs through White and Green and everyone behind that. But like I said, Dixon is a running back for us, and also like I said, Tyler Jordan is another running back. Those 2 guys, I wouldn't mind seeing those guys run the rock a little bit as well. Don't forget about A.J. Brown. I've seen him on special teams a little bit as well. So we still have a handful of running backs that could do some things. Even if Jalen White's not playing, I would love to see him play. Hopefully he will play. But we'll see that. We'll see how that goes as the season goes along. Not as the week go along in the status of Jalen White. Now, before I get out of here, I really want to say this. Win, lose, or draw this upcoming Saturday against Appalachian State. I followed this team throughout this entire season, and I'm very, very proud of this team. There's been some shortcomings here and there, but I really am proud of what these guys did. I've seen these guys play hard. I see these guys put in the work. I've seen these guys try their best. And at the end of the day, there's not much more you can ask for there. It's not more you can ask for. I love the fight that these guys, none of these guys never gave up. No, they didn't make all the big plays. They did not make all the plays when needed, but these guys didn't give up. They kept fighting throughout this entire season. And honestly, I would like to see these guys have two more levels of fight in them. And then I'm talking about the Appalachian State game and possibly even a bowl game. You guys have nothing to hang your head down for. You guys played very well. Now, I will say you guys played very tough, and the outcome just wasn't the same. But you guys gave a well enough effort for me to be personally to be happy for you guys. You guys did a lot of good things despite not having the outcome that they were. Now, I know there's a lot of fans, and I'm not trying to point the finger at these fans, but there's a lot of fans that's going to be down on, what has transpired this season. That's just the nature of the business. And I understand a lot of you guys probably already know that. You guys probably already know that their fans are going to be the way they are. But the thing about it is, and I think you guys know this as well, a lot of Georgia Southern fans, they hold this team to a high standard. It's because this is a prestigious program here in the Sun Belt. It's winning or nothing else with Georgia Southern. And I know you guys are capable of doing it. You guys are capable of winning a lot of games. And I know this is the first year that you guys are implementing into this style of for the most part, most of you guys are in the first year of this style of play as far as offense and defense and special teams. But I promise you, if you hang around, you guys are going to catch on. You guys are going to be great. You guys are going to be great. And it's going to start, in my opinion, it's going to start on Saturday when you guys play App State. Now, hopefully you guys will be able to eke out a win there, because that'll make a big deal, just like for all the things I said earlier. It's hate week. We don't like Appalachian State. We respect them, but we don't like Appalachian State, and we can one-up them by gaining bowl eligibility. And I think you guys have the will to do so, and we'll be rooting for you all the way through, from kickoff to the end of the game. And even after the end of the game, we'll still be rooting for you guys, because there's going to be a lot more work to do next year. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. What do you guys think, man? What do you think we're going to do against Appalachian State? I mean, they're on the downside, too. I know a lot of people are a little down on this team, but, hey, we never give up. We keep fighting. Every time we go out there on that field, we give it our all, and this is what these kids have been doing. I really appreciate the effort you guys have been giving. It made me be motivated to continue to do what I do behind the microphone and in front of the camera. Once again, shout out to Coach Thurman. I cannot thank him enough. One of the biggest, supporters and biggest fans of the show. I'm definitely a fan of him, and I'm glad that he's on the staff. I'm glad that my son, we didn't finish the entire game. He got sleepy. He was ready to go and lay down. He's only 3. We had him up all day. He didn't want to take a nap, and it showed at the middle of the third quarter, he was ready to go. But thank him for being a good sport, and my lovely wife, thank her as well for being there. I can't do this without them. I really can't. Without them, this right here doesn't happen. I know I say it a lot when it comes to the fans. Without you guys, this don't happen, and that's true. But this lady here, this woman right here, has been supportive from day one. Ever since I told her I wanted to do this show, and there's some things she don't agree with. She'll be the first to tell you, but she's been supportive, and it's all give and take, guys. When you're married, it's all give and take. Trust me and trust and believe. So I thank my family. You guys are great. And I thank you guys as fans. You guys are awesome. Check out the links down in the description if you want to support. Also look at BetUS if you want to put a wager on a few of these games. Not only games, you can do players and halves of games or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of things you can put wagers on. Put $100 down. You will get 125% sportsbook bonus. And you're already winning out the gate. All right, y'all. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Thank you guys once again. Thank everyone. You guys are awesome. And I will see you then. You guys take it easy. You guys be blessed. Peace.